15 minutes ago, something like that. So.
Oh, I'm sorry to bother you so early. I hope you don't mind.
No, it's all right.
I just wanted to touch base with you. I had Chief approach me saying you had some questions regarding the flight stuff. I think we've been discombobulated somewhere, so I want to get back on the same track with you so that everything that is on the correct path. Currently I've denied people with a shitload of violent felonies on their records. There's been a lot of civilians applying, which is great to see.
Okay.
But where do you see the line being for that sort of stuff? I just had a terrorist ask me if they could get a license too.
Oh, was it Arcadia?
No, it was Misha Standor, one of the Chaos Legion guys.
Gotcha. So very early on, myself and Nick, so the goal is that flight should be recreational, right?
Yep.
And maybe eventually commercial. It comes at a time where most people are felons, right? So it presents a bit of a challenge.
True. Yeah.
But the way that Nick and I sort of set it up, and we had a lot of conversations around this, is that there are a couple deterrents that are baked into the legislation as well as the registration process. One is the fee, and the second is the charge associated with it. Okay. The idea was that we wanted to target civilians first, and then kind of move on to those with a bit of a criminal record, and then those that have a violent criminal record, with the principle being that anybody should be able to engage in flight. However, if they use the equipment in doing something illegal, it would be stripped, right? So it's one of those kind of things. Like, so if someone, the only, does that kind of make sense? Like, give people an opportunity, but then if they abuse it, it's good. So the registration, I think, is like $100,000 or something like that. It's
pretty pricey. Yeah.
So, you know, that it was kind of like the idea was like, you know, if someone's going to put a ton of money in, they're less likely to use it illegally. That's not to say they won't, right? Like, it's not, I'm not ignorant to the fact that a lot of gangs probably got like millions of dollars, and they may use that as a way to get an airplane and then use it in a crime. But the reality too is they could illegally steal it as well, right?
Sure.
So, you know,
interesting. I've heard that the mayor up north in Blaine County is going to be doing fixed wing lessons, or they're getting some kind of program set up for fixed wing training up there. Are you aware of that?
I'm somewhat aware of it. I know that this thing has kind of been like 3 months in the making. Finally, we got like flight instructors and stuff, which is good.
Yeah, it's great. There's a lot of them too. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to see more things kind of happen with it, like whether it's, you know, parachutes or, you know, like stuff along those lines. But that's kind of my general take, right? Like, if someone's using something illegally, then it should be stripped of their person, and they should be like indefinitely banned, at least for the time being.
I got you. Okay.
But
so it's kind of like when people were, you know, they were able to do Group 6 stuff, and then after time it became, you know, it was something you'd lose your job if you did any was that
it was always like that.
Yeah.
If you got a felony, you would get banned for like a week from Group 6.
Okay. I mean, I'm on board. I think my initial worry was like, okay, we're gonna let these like crazy people fly, but hearing what you have to say about it, I mean, that's
it's
I don't really have an issue with that.
Yeah, it's you know, it's the way I see it is like this, is that the police department, the government, we cannot control people's behavior, right? However, we can provide an avenue by which they can hopefully find an alternative purpose beyond like robbing banks and killing cops. So
I would admit I was confused when I read the Reformation bit, but hearing you talk about it does make sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's one of those it's kind of one of those things where it's like, unless we give those paths, right? Because what are people gonna do? Fucking run stalls all day? You know what I'm saying? Like people are like Corolla Gamboa, probably one of the longest standing members of the civilian population, was a part of my cabinet. I just found out she's in Chaos Legion. So like,
oh fuck,
like it's civilians, whether people accept it or not, are finding that there's very little purpose for them left, and they are often a target of having their, you know, their virgin record targeted.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, what I'll do then, sir, is I'll go back through the requests that we've had already. I'll most likely. Do you want me to? Is what I could do. So we've obviously been prioritizing civilians already. Do you want me to just like kind of not deny but keep like super violent felons on hold until we've got through?
Yeah, sure.
Or
and maybe I would even sprinkle in some of them so that word gets out there, right?
True.
Like, so if someone's like prominent enough, it's not a bad idea to give them an opportunity, right? Yeah, so that people are like, okay, I can have this chance. Because so I'll tell you what I've been hearing, right? Is now obviously I weigh everyone's opinion appropriately because different people see it from their own POVs. But
yeah, absolutely.
There has been some dismay of like, oh man, I can't get this, or like, because, you know, I have this violent felony from like a while ago and I'm being told I'm going to get denied, and like, fuck, what do I do now? You know what I mean? So
yeah, I got you.
That might subside some of that.
Well, I'll make sure I'm very loud about the fact that this is something that's changing. I'll speak to as many of the applicants as possible so that they're aware.
Easy.
So that they, you know, don't feel like there's no opportunity there.
If you want to type me something up, I could state announce it too, for what it's worth.
Sure, yeah, I can do that. You want me to email it over to you?
Please. And if you could also CC Nick to see if he's good with it as well, and then we can kind of send out some joint messaging.
All right, fantastic. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I've seen there's somebody with a pretty fat warrant at that I wrote that says CMC, so we might have to go. But I'm glad we cleared that up. There's apologies for the discombobulation, but luckily everything's sorted now.
It's fine. No, I'm glad we talked about it. Do you have any questions about this new legislation we put forward about the right to property?
I haven't actually read through that yet, to be honest. I know you were answering a bunch of questions. I saw the thingy yet, but I haven't read through it, to be honest with you, sir. I haven't had a lot of time recently. I
was gonna bring it up yesterday, but the meeting just kind of abruptly ended. The TLDR is the DOJ with very little opinion from law enforcement started illegalizing things at face value using logic like jump boots only come from the cargo ship, therefore illegal.
Oh.
And that triggered the fuck out of me because they told us penal codes are changing. They never mentioned all this shit, and then they, outside of due process, made a political position, which is egregious, anti-Western, anti-democracy, and we're sort of looking to circumvent that. But now the...
Fuck.
Yeah. And it pisses me off for you guys because I know you should be able to investigate. Now it's just like, now you just have to be like, go to the DOJ. Their position is you go to the DOJ and like, yo, dog, I heard this shit came out of like from over here, dude. And they're like, oh, cool, illegal. I'm like, what kind of fucking brain dead shit is this?
I did wonder about the jump. I'll be honest, I fucking hate the jump boot shit. I can't stand that. And I did laugh when I saw that was illegal, but I get what you're saying. It is, yeah.
A bunch of legal shit.
I assumed all of that would have been a conversation with you and others. Was it not at all?
No. They were, in fact, it was extremely deceitful because we've been doing our best to work with them, putting dozens of hours in, giving feedback. Not this past Friday, but the Friday before, they told us they were just adjusting fines and times.
Right.
And me and Mumble's like, all right. And then out of nowhere, they just pop these other charges, and they're going around saying we knew about it, which we didn't. We're both equally annoyed.
I can understand your concern with that.
Yeah.
As well as the fact, I mean, there's like a lot of stuff that's set up so that new legislation can come in via vote, public vote and stuff. And I quite like that. I honestly, I shouldn't have assumed it, I guess, but I thought this was in
No.
cohesion with the mayor's office on
We knew
so.
absolutely nothing. In fact, it undermined the past like month where I've been working with Moss with getting this detective unit up and going, and now working with Turner and really pushing the PD to have the tools, like, with Bailey coming in too. Like, Bailey's already sent me legislation. Like, I want y'all to be able to investigate, come up with an argument, push legislation, and then it becomes like a real, like, living, breathing, like, city. You know what I mean? So
Not just
like,
A plus B equals C, like that, like the illegal stuff is.
Yeah, exactly. Like fucking word on the street type shit. Like, fuck out of here.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I can understand. So what can you guys do to change that or counteract that?
I've already pushed one piece of legislation. It's now going to be reviewed by the state. But I'm there's a lot coming their way. So I hate to say it, but this is like round 3, except these guys are exceptionally more foolish. So
understood. Well, if you need anything from me at all, sir, I'm happy to talk about stuff. Yeah. I guess my opinion on that is yes, investigation is good. I think for me, if somebody was using something within crime, I would just take it because they used it in crime. I don't necessarily need it to be defined anywhere.
Yes, well, yeah, and then you're a legal right? It's
yeah. Like, it's the same. It's like, were you in the PD for that conversation about laptops yesterday? Did you hear that?
No, but well, I didn't say anything because I'm aware of it, and it was some of the dumbest shit I've heard in my fucking life. I'll tell you what actually happened. Okay. Lang Buddha and company were arrested with some Polito bank, right?
Yep.
Because of this dumb fuck rule or penal code that was unconstitutionally added, which was laptops are illegal, dog. Or hacking laptops are illegal, dog. It was taken by the arresting officers. And it's the mere possession of the laptop was illegal. There was no any other evidence because it's in the penal code.
They didn't ask him questions?
They didn't have to. It just immediately, because it went to bench trial. Now, he ran away and shit. But you ready for this?
He has a warrant.
Is that the laptop was opened up by a judge to see that there was hacking software. So
is that legal?
No. You can't even open up notebooks without a subpoena. So like, I was gonna say it's skipping a lot. I don't know. It's
I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. I think I like the idea of officers needing to ask questions and actually do their job rather than just like read charges. Yeah, that fits. Off you go then.
Yeah. I will give you an example, right? This laptop, let's say you have a pattern of these laptops being found in Polito. You find a way, like, go in and get someone in interrogation, like a CI, like get that shit on fucking tape, right? And then it gets presented to Mumbles and myself, right? Quite frankly, DOJ should have no involvement. They're not fucking law enforcement. They need to be neutral, right? Otherwise, they can't preside over this shit. And so you bring it to us, and we're like, oh, okay, fuck. Like, okay, we're gonna write some legislation around like hacking devices and and we'll make like this specific thing a known contraband in the case of like Polito. You know what I mean? Like,
I got you.
Like that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's more of a rich environment than, whatever this cringe shit is. So,
I got you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're dealing with stuff like that, so that's obviously a bit of a spanner in the works.
I'm used to it. So.
Yeah. You've been there for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as I said, so if there's anything I can do with that, please do let me know.
Yeah.
I'll get all of the flight stuff sorted out, so we'll get more people flying, and I'll get the word out. I'll also write something for state announcements for you. I'll probably get that for after Tsunami, because I think that's where a lot of them come from. And I'll start asking people like Arthur, one of the super active instructors, and Cuddles as well, to try and make sure they're being loud about that too. and to
Love
speak
it.
to as many clients as possible.
Is there anything you are facing in your time zone that is an issue
Like
for
with
policing?
stuff just not enough.
And you're like,
That's
man, we
really the
need
main one.
something.
We just need people, sir. Really, which is I know is like that's always the answer. But that's really
Pre-tsunami
it.
is people.
Yeah, I get on duty around midday, 1 o'clock, kind of GMT. I don't know what that is, ISO. I think it's an hour ahead. Oh, sorry, hour behind. No, hour ahead for ISO. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, about midday, and at that point, it's like shift 3 is just getting off duty, and shift 1 are beginning to come on duty. You don't really see a lot of them until like an hour before now, and then tsunami as well, obviously. So I don't know whether it's something you'll actually be able to solve, but that I'd say is my main issue. Just people, like we're going to bank trucks. I'm seeing 6 supercars at the bank truck. I can just look at them from Air 1 and then go back to base. And that's pretty much it. That sort of thing.
Had contemplated legislation that limits police response to 24/7s, but was written in a way that if there was, you could articulate more than X amount of suspects, that you just fuck them up. So
Really?
yeah, I mean that's like shit that I want. I mean, if we were doing with all this fucking brain dead shit all fucking day, that's the kind of shit I want to try, because it's within our power, right? Like if you're doing a 24/7 with a fucking supercar, like fucking stealing groceries, fuck that, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is pretty common at the moment, unfortunately.
But it would have to be like a two-pronged approach, right? Like on one hand, that thing would prevent, like legally stop the PD from having too much of a response, right? So but at the same time, if the criminals, if someone brought like X amount of shit to this 24/7, then you could bring the entire force and just like, you know what I mean? It becomes like a...
Oh, I would love that.
I was thinking I was going to call it like the star level legislation or something. You know what I mean?
five star wanted level.
I want to be clear here, though. This would be just for like sake of like, let's see how it goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like a trial and test and trial it. If not worky, remove the.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have one thing that I need your opinion on. Rogue helicopters.
The one-man helicopters?
Yeah, I mean, like, so do you want us to shoot them down? Am I protected for that? I'm assuming I'm probably not protected if I shoot somebody down.
Tony Long got us a new case law for you do have qualified immunity now.
Okay.
He oversaw a court case yesterday in regards to it. But qualified immunity is still... So the problem becomes... The real problem is that there's things that exist in the city that are not easy to counter without going extreme. That's the real issue, right? So you have this rogue helicopter, and can you shoot it? But the question is why? And that's honestly the hard challenge. This King. Like, the question is, does it need to be shot?
Good question. Good point as well, actually. I mean, do we need to, like, if it's running,
Can I
we
say
know it's
something
going to run out of fuel? Yeah, go on.
The problem is the fun aspect, right? Because how the fuck do you guys have a chance to catch these guys? But at the same time, it's weird as fuck to be shooting down a fucking helicopter because they stole a couple things. You know what I mean?
True.
So that
or
to me is like the real issue.
You know?
Yeah. It's the same problem with this 24/7 thing, right? Like, realistically... like a 24/7 versus everything else in the city, it's like it shouldn't be more than 2-3 cops. Like, reality wise, it's grocery. But I understand it's kind of annoying because it's like, well, then why respond to it anyways when they're bringing 6 supercars, and it's fucking cringe on the other end, right? So it's like it's a tough balance.
I think, like, okay, what I'll do is if I get any more rogue helicopters. Here's the thing I know for a fact that the those helicopters, the little ones, have small tanks. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna I'll speak to Hayes about this because she runs Air One stuff at BCSO. But what I might do is, instead of like ATC threatening to take lethal action against them for simply flying around, I say we follow them until they eventually have to land, and that's when we try and arrest them because they'll be out of the helicopter.
I got a much better way. You ready?
Go on. Yeah.
This didn't come from me.
Okay.
You are the flight guy. You know who has flight licenses. You have a way to know if helicopters are in the air. If a helicopter is illegally being used without, like, consistently, pattern-wise, like, you've got the tail rotor, you got to... Why aren't these things being threatened for seizure?
I really want to do that for violent felonies.
Yeah,
yes.
like, the avenue exists already. I don't even need to do anything. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, like, I would start tracking this, and I would begin by sending out a warning, right? Ooh. Like, so-and-so, like, you know, Michael Douglas, your helicopter has been seen 5 times in the air, you know, and you do not have a flight, like, a air license. You have X amount of time to stop making progress on that, as if we see it again, you are subject to having it seized or something, you know?
That is a fantastic idea. I'm stealing all of those things, sir. Thank you.
Yep, 100%.
All right, brilliant. Okay, that's made me, that's sorted a lot of things out for me, so thank you very much, sir.
Absolutely.
Cool. Any other questions about flight stuff, let me know. Always willing to chat about it. Even if you think I'm being a fucking moron, that's fine too. I'm happy to listen to that.
Yeah. Likewise.
It's rare that I think you're being a moron, sir. You know.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when I hear stuff, I'm like, oh, that's strange. But then I usually am like, well, they probably have a reason, or they've got some kind of plan. And then I come to speak to you, and now I'm feeling absolutely fine with no problems whatsoever. So I was right. You do have a plan.
Yeah. I just I want the city to be enriched. You know.
Yeah.
With options.
Which I like.
And depth.
I like a lot. Yes. Big fan. Big fan. Okay. Thank you very much for your time, sir. I won't take any more of it. I think we better get out on patrol anyways.
Anytime. All right.
Give me a shout. I'll see you soon, sir. If you want to do your pilot's license stuff, I'll approve you straight away.
Oh! Next week. Yeah? I'll give you a call next week. I'm very down.
All right.
Take care.
You too, sir.